Hey, creatives, and welcome back to the Thriving Artist, the show where we discuss how creatives create flourishing careers. Our guest is an ambitious, creative, and dedicated drummer from Vancouver, Canada, mainly owing his fame to being the drummer of Devin Townsend. He's also a motivational speaker whose main goal is to inspire and motivate people around the world to live a life full of purpose and happiness. He has taught lessons and held motivational seminars all over the world in countries such as Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Japan, the United States, Europe, Canada, England, Russia, and many more. He has workshops, ebook based off of his 3-hour seminar called 9 Steps to Living a Life of Purpose. I'm so excited to welcome Ryan Van Poederooyen.
Awesome. And you said the last name excellent.
Yes.
That's always a tough one during the many interviews. So well done. Well done.
Practice makes progress.
Right. That's right.
Awesome. I'm really excited for this interview because I just really want to dig in. You've been able to check off some really incredible things off of your bucket list. You know, touring the world, sold out shows, performing for crowds of over 80,000 people, infusing a sense of purpose in your work, being happily married. Seems like you're just living the best life. And I think it would be an insult to say that it was just all a fluke and that you just got lucky. So I would love to hear what were some guiding principles in your journey that led you to really be able to build the life that you've been able to live?
That's a great question to start this all off with. There's several principles. Again, 9 Steps to Living a Life of Purpose is the seminar I have, and the ebook that I have accompanies the seminar after people have seen it. But to answer the question honestly, it is 9 steps that I followed, and I'll just list them very quickly. It's believe in yourself. It's dream big. Okay, that's such a big one. Set goals, visualize, work hard, take action, which I believe is the most important one. Be grateful is the 6th one. 7th one, which is so important that people take for granted sometimes, health. Okay, it's a very big one. Number 8, never quit. And number 9, which everyone should do every single day, is enjoy the journey. Mm-hmm. These 9 things I've applied over and over and over again in my life to achieve the success that I have in my life. Whether it comes to my marriage, which is a huge success. I have a son, and he's an incredible son and such a great spirit. He's playing guitar so we can jam together, and just seeing him succeed in little ways and the little things that I've helped him with as he's grown up is success as well. Then there's the obvious success, becoming a full-time professional musician. I played a sold-out Royal Albert Hall, bucket list. Last year I played sold-out Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, bucket list. I'm endorsed by the biggest drum companies in the world. That dream of wanting to sign autographs, to tour in a tour bus, fly all over the world. All these things have come true, but I owe them all to the dedication, the discipline that I put into these 9 steps. So those 9 steps that I listed to you, mm-hmm. That's the key. That was the key for me, and how I came about knowing about those specific steps, and especially in that order, is after all my successes, I was wondering, how did I get here? How did this happen? That's the big question, is people want to know how you do these things.
That's what I'm asking.
And the thing is when you're doing them and you're trying to accomplish, you don't worry about how you're going to accomplish it, because that can really limit you, I find. What you need to do is apply all these things, which I was doing all the time, and then the different hows will come out after you've achieved it. Too many people worry about how I'm going to do it. And this is what happens. I'll give you an example of this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm growing up in Port Alberni. That's where I grew up, Vancouver Island. Okay. And if I had this thought process where I went, okay, I'm going to graduate. I'm going to move to Vancouver. I'm going to play in this band. I'm going to meet Devin Townsend project. And then I'm going to go to this studio to meet the next thing you know, you've boiled everything down into this, which is one thing. You put all your eggs into one basket. If you keep everything vague and you let the universe do its part, and you just go out there and you work hard in all these different directions, you apply all these different steps, and you leave those doors open for anything to happen for you, amazing things can work in your favor. It's restricting yourself and worrying about how you're going to do it that can really take away from your chances of succeeding in what you want to do with your life. So my parents taught me that. I grew up in a very, very positive household when I was growing up, and they always said you can do whatever you want in your life, you know, but you have to be careful about what you think and what you say, because what you think and what you say become the world around you, right? And they were always correcting me if, oh, I can't do this, you can't what? And I'd be, oh, you know, and then I'd perk up and I'd find myself correcting myself. And then I believed I could, which is the first step of anything, you know? And so anyways, without getting too deep into this, I could go on for hours, as I do in my seminars. Those are the main principles, those 9 principles that have really, really made everything happen for me. And being diverse and being open to the different possibilities that can come across your life.
I like that you really talk about like starting broad, because some people, they feel pressure, especially as creatives, when they're so curious. Like creatives are naturally curious. And so a lot of them like want to explore different things. And then there's really that pressure of like, oh, I need to find my one thing and then like run with that. So I love that. I feel like that just like put people at ease hearing that. I would love to delve into the health portion. It's just the way you enunciated it, which is like health. And I was like, yeah, I think there's a story behind that. What would you say is a story where health really played a role in either maybe hindering or moving, either hindering or moving you forward with your success?
Well, I got a perfect story for you because it basically hints at both things you're talking about. It helped me move forward, but it also hindered me at the same time. So I'm going to give you the condensed version. In 1999, I used to work construction, stucco, and I had a bad back accident, okay, where I really put my back out really bad. And I was actually bedridden for about 3 weeks after that accident. That's how bad it was. Whoa. Needless to say, when I went to the doctors, they said it was going to take a long time to heal. Now, throughout my 20s, I was 29 when it happened. Throughout my 20s, always went to the gym, ate healthy, kept care of myself, played lots of sports and stuff, and just always felt great. I could play 2-hour shows drumming, no problem. And I play in heavier music, so the drumming's a lot more demanding, right? But, you know, as soon as this back accident happened, I stayed on top of my diet, which is extremely important. It's one of the most important things when it comes to your health. Everyone thinks it's working out. Well, you can undo everything you do in the gym in the kitchen if you're not careful with it. So, you know, the first year I kind of stayed on top of my diet after the accident happened. Then I started letting the diet go. Fast forward a couple years after that, I walk around 180 pounds, fit, healthy. Imagine my 180-pound frame with 45 pounds of fat on top of it. That's what happened. Okay. I got the gig for Devin Townsend band, and then we started touring. I was very lethargic. Getting through even a 90-minute set was tough. The biggest thing, guys, is this. Your health is directly correlated to your mind. And I 100% believe this, and I know it from my own experience. When I was on stage playing in front of big crowds with Devin Townsend band, some of my worst drumming to date took place when I was unhealthy. I lost confidence. You know, I didn't believe in myself as much. I felt lethargic. You know, like I said, I gas halfway through a set. You know, all these things, they play on your mind. I'd start thinking about drum fills that were coming up that I had played many, many times before. And then when they came up, guess what I did? I blew it, because that's what I was thinking about. I attracted that in my life. But not only that, it was coming into my life because of my health. Okay. I went through this for 8 years. And granted, the doctor said it was going to take many years for me to recover from this, but I could have treated my diet better. Fast forward, to 2008. I'm about to get married. I'm engaged, get married in 2009 in May. And it was December 2008. I had enough. I was getting ready to start a whole new set of touring with Devin Townsend project, a newer band that Devin started. And it was on a big, big scale. And I didn't want to feel that way anymore. So you know what I did? Went to my doctor. He talked to me. He said, calories in versus calories out. Don't believe any of the fad diets. They don't work. Do this, eat right, work out, get back to your routine. I did that in 5 months. I lost, it was 47 pounds, more than the 2 pounds more than I wanted. And that was all up here. That was being disciplined. That was taking action. That was believing that I could do it. And I never quit, ever. Okay. And on the flip side, when I started touring with that 47 pounds less of fat on my frame, to this day, I'm playing my best drums right now. I'm 45 years old. Okay. Mm-hmm. I feel younger. I look younger than the pictures that I had when I was 35. I'm not lying. I'm up on my RVP Health Body and Mind Facebook page and people can't believe the difference. But the impact that health has, not only just for your body, which is the obvious thing, but your mind it's unbelievable. I've been there. Okay. I've been in shape, gotten completely out of shape, and then got right back in shape. And I've kept it off ever since. You know, it's been 10 years. And I'll tell you this much, it works. If you have a healthy body, it contributes to a healthy mind. It will contribute to your success. And that's all that I know. It's worked for me. And I highly recommend to take care of yourselves, eat right, try and get a little bit of exercise. I work out at the gym 5 days a week. That's my choice. Just get it in there because you're doing it for your overall well-being, just not for your body.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it like played such a huge role, especially with touring and traveling. And I saw some of your videos of you like playing the drums, and it's really intense. Like you're not just casually there, like keeping a rhythm, like it's intense. So it's like, it's a full body workout. So I could see like how that really like makes an impact in that way. I want to delve into another idea that you talked about in your book, and it was called the 4 5s. And it reminds me of this quote. I forget who said it, but it was like this quote where it says, we often overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 years. And like looking at the strategy that you laid out with the 4 5s, I was like, oh my gosh, this just allows everybody to kind of like build on that and really see what they can, the big crazy things that they can actually do in 5 years and not feel so overwhelmed with what they're trying to do in between. So yeah, let's delve into that.
Sure. You named the key point just a couple seconds ago, feeling overwhelmed. You know, how this idea came up is I used to be a collection officer way back in the day. And, you know, they had these meetings and they go, what's your 5-year plan? I'm sure lots of people have gone through that. There's lots of businesses where like, you got to have a 5-year plan to work towards. And I think that's great because you're setting yourself a goal. But the thing is, a lot of people look at a 5-year plan. They're like, that's pretty daunting. Guess what comes back into their mind? How am I going to get there? How am I going to do it? And as soon as you start focusing on that, you could start thinking about it for 5 or 10 minutes and talk yourself out of that 5-year plan just like that. Okay. Wow. So I started thinking about this and I was like, okay, well, how can I achieve things where it's not going to be daunting? And then I thought about my drum teaching. If I teach a drum student their first drum beat ever, a beginner drum student, I'm like, okay, this is how you play the beat. And it's just, and then I'll stop and I'll go play it. I won't give any direction, nothing. And they'll try it. And every time it'll be a mess. They won't even come close. They're a beginner drummer.
Yeah.
But there's a lesson in it. What do? I start teaching them the hi-hat part. Then I say, now add in your kick drum. Now add in your snare. And after 5 minutes of tooling through it, next thing you know, they're playing the beat and their eyeballs every time. Oh boy, I'm doing it. This is awesome. You know, they're freaking out. And then I teach them the lesson of what do we do though? We set goals to achieve that major goal. So I took that thought process and I thought, well, how can I apply that to my life? I'm already teaching the students.
Yeah.
And this is how the four fives were born. I'm like, you know what? Let's break that 5 years down then to keep myself accountable and be disciplined with it to achieve these goals, whichever way they're going to work out. So every day you have little goals that you set, but let's take it a step further. I'm going to set goals for every 5 days, for every 5 weeks, for every 5 months towards my 5-year plan, the 4 5s. And
Mm-hmm.
then every time you achieve something within your 5-day goal, you bring up a brand new goal for the next 5 days until you achieve that goal for that 5 months, or 5 weeks, sorry.
Yeah.
Then that goal for the 5 months, which eventually turns into your 5 years. And if you do the math, it all works out as well, and it was pretty amazing. I started applying this in my life and was getting instant results. More importantly, that 5-year plan it wasn't daunting whatsoever. If anything, I was more inspired because I kept on achieving all these little goals to get to where I wanted to be in my life. And next thing you know, I'm achieving things within 5 years. Sometimes I'm achieving them in 3. There's been a couple times it's taken 6 or 7 years. I won't lie to you. That's the truth. But I got there. Okay.
Yeah.
The 4 5s is a method that I came up with that's solely mine, that works 100%. And it keeps me disciplined. It keeps me accountable for all my actions to achieve the dream life that I want to live. I teach it in all my seminars. It's in my ebook. And I get the most mail about the 4 5s more than any other topic that I talk about. That one, and there's another thing called the big 3 that I talk about. And those are the 2 things I get the most mail about, because they're like, it works. It's true. So that's my breakdown.
Before we delve into the big 3,
Hmm.
just in case people missed it. So the 4 5s, lay it out again. So it's
Set goals for 5 days,
uh-huh.
for your 5-week goal, for your 5-month goal, for your 5-year plan, your ultimate goal.
Do you have an order of how you build it? Do you start with like, this is the 5, then you build it down smaller? Or does that matter at all?
You can do it. It's interesting because I get a lot of people who have tried it in different ways. They go, okay, here's my 5-year plan. Now this is what I want my first 5-month plan to be
Mm-hmm.
towards the 5 years. Because once the 5-month plan is done, well, that's not 5 years. So you got to keep on setting new 5-month goals, but you're building it. So they've done it in reverse, and people have said it's worked for them. For myself, I just have this 5-year goal, and I don't get too far ahead of myself. The furthest I'll go is, okay, the 5 years, which is obvious, but the furthest I'll go is that first 5-month plan. That's my goal right now. And obviously you're not going to make it daunting. Your first 5-day goal, it's not going to be make $100,000. Like, you got to be realistic about this, right?
Right.
So you make it realistic, but you push your boundaries. You go out of your comfort zone. The best place to succeed is just outside that comfort zone.
Right. So like a good example would be, let's say, an artist who is uncomfortable with selling their work. So maybe it's like, okay, in 5 days, I'm going to have a conversation with 5 people about what I do.
Perfect example.
Right? Okay. And then just
Perfect
build it
example.
up bigger and bigger.
Well, you know what? Let's just do a little test run here. So
Okay.
say that's it. That's your first 5-day goal. What would you do for your first 5-week goal then?
Well, okay. So if the goal is to let people know that I'm selling my art,
Mm-hmm.
the first one would be talking to people about it. For me, a few week goal would be maybe building some sort of online presence if you don't have one already. So learning how I can build a website that showcases my art. And so that when I start talking to people and they say, hey, I would love to check out your stuff, now I can say, okay, I built this, so you can do that.
Exactly. And then what would you do for 5 months?
Oh man.
For
Uh,
example, if I can jump in,
yeah, yeah.
your first sale. Why couldn't you have a sale, or why couldn't you have, my goal in the first 5 months is to have 5 of those sales? To
Mm-hmm.
do
Mm-hmm.
something to push you to see the dream, to see the purpose, to live with that purpose, to
Right.
inspire and motivate you to get to that point where in 5 years in the city you're living, you could be the top 3 of that business or industry in what you do. You
I
know,
love
these
that.
are the things that you need to do. They're all achievable. You know,
Yeah.
the Wright brothers, what did they invent? Airplanes.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone thought they were nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone thought they were crazy. There's
Yeah.
no way you're going to make that happen. They believed it. They kept on going and going. They set goals. They failed over and over, but they never quit. You know,
Hmm.
they achieved that goal because they really believed it. So again, you know, like what's the first step? Believing that you can do it. So
Yeah.
set goals that push you a little bit, but
Yeah.
still know that, you know, have that belief system involved that you know you can get there.
I
That's
love it.
so important. And that's how the 4 or 5s work.
Yeah. And then I think one other really cool element about it is like you can have that for what you consider, I guess, your business success, but then you can also use it for different areas and simultaneously have different lists, I guess, right? Like if health was an area you want to work on, having your 4 5s for that.
Yep.
If music was what you're doing, having your 4 5s. I like it. I
100%.
like it.
You know, it doesn't have to be to one thing. Remember what we talked about earlier when you're doing this and then it's down to this.
Mm.
Why would you restrict the 4 or 5s to just one thing in your life? I
Mhm.
100% have health as one of the things that you apply the 4 or 5s to. 100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the 4 or 5s applied to my motivational speaking career. I have it applied to my music career. You know, my wife and I, we've applied it to our own relationship and where we want to be in 5 years. You know, how much money can we save towards our retirement in 5 months? You know, like
Yeah.
there's so many different examples that you can use in applying the 4 or 5s. All I know is it works. It's no fluke that I get a ton of emails on it all the time from people saying it works. It's working for me. I've accomplished this, and it puts the biggest smile on my face. So
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. And I think it's usually the simplest things
yeah,
are the most powerful.
I agree.
Um, I feel like we could go on and on and on because
Well,
I
we
do
could.
love talking about personal development and growth. Like this is just an area I love. But we don't have forever.
Yeah,
So let's start winding it down and let's talk about the big three because the big three is really the top three most important things or most
yeah,
important steps, right?
that's right. In my ebook, I have a break right before the eighth principle, which is never quit. And before I get into it, I talk about something called the big three. And the big three to me are the most important steps out of all 9 principles. And that's believe in yourself, take action, work hard, whichever you want to call it, and never quit. Okay. Why are they the most important 3 out of the 9? Well, let's just look at it this way. And I say it at all my seminars and talks that I do. Let's try and take away one of those 3 principles from the other 2. And we'll go every which way we can here. So you believe in yourself, you're working hard, but let's take away never quit.
Hmm.
Makes no sense at all because if you quit, you're done. Okay, so
Yes.
you know that can't work. Okay, so how about we're working hard and we never quit? If
Hmm.
you don't believe you can do something, you're shot from the beginning. You
Hmm.
know that. Like anything that we've succeeded at, we believed that we could do it. As soon as any doubt enters your mind, like when I was talking about when I play on stage, when I was overweight and I
Right.
thought about messing up that fill. Well, you know what? Nine
That's what
times out
happened.
of 10, I
Yeah.
was messing up that fill because that's what I believed. That's what I was thinking. Your mind is absolutely powerful. So that doesn't work. Okay. Well, let's look at it this way. The last step that we could look at with the 3, and that's I believe in myself, but I never quit. But we take away the most important one, take action.
Yeah.
If
It's
you're
a huge
believing in
ego.
yourself, right? If you're believing in yourself and never quit believing in yourself, but you never ever take a step towards that, you're just going to be in a dreamland.
Yeah.
So those steps are absolutely crucial. And that's why I call them the big 3. You
Hmm.
have to have those steps. And anyone who has ever succeeded at anything, no matter how small, no matter how big it was, they use those 3 steps. I
Hmm.
promise you that. I know that. That's just a fact. So you have to apply the big 3 in your life. And it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just how it is. That's what the big 3 is. It's a very simple thing to talk about, very simple thing to explain, very simple process.
Yeah. I love it. And I really appreciate that you've taken the time to, narrow down all these 9 steps out of your journey and putting it into a resource, because now people who are inspired by this can actually take that, digest it, run with it, and really build their life of purpose doing what they love and what they're passionate about. Um, just to really end things off on a great note, what would be one final takeaway that you'd like to give the viewers?
Uh, Step principle number 9. And you know what that is enjoy the journey. We're here once, guys. You just never know when your last day could be. As morbid as that sounds, it gives you every single reason to live every day to the max.
Mhm.
Make the most of every day. That is so, so important. Enjoy the journey, guys. You don't ever want to be one of these people who says, I'll be happy when. If
Yeah.
when is in that sentence, you're wrong. I'm sorry, I'll argue with you till I'm blue in the face. You're wrong. Okay?
Yeah.
Enjoy every single day. Enjoy the journey. Make the most of this life. And that's what it's all about. And I wish all you guys who are tuning into this all the happiness in the world. Go for your dreams. Make it happen. It's always going to be up to you. Take 100% responsibility for your life. And you know what? If you download my ebook, please read it. Please give me feedback. RVP Health, Body, and Mind on Facebook is my Facebook page. I post tons of inspirational stuff, and I always return my messages there. So,
Yeah.
and lastly, I think you're doing an absolutely awesome, wonderful thing here, Adrian. This was an honor to be part of this, and I wish you continued success. And thank you very much for having me on this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for so much for being a part of this. And I wanted to echo actually the last point you had and share a little vulnerable story. So in January of this year, I lost my grandmother, and it was the first time I really had to deal with loss. And that last note that you just mentioned just ring true to me, because like this whole show wouldn't have even like really happened if that didn't happen for me this year, and have that moment of like, whoa, what am I doing with my life? I need to do something bigger, something more positive, something more impactful. And so, yeah, that's
And you know what? That's a beautiful story, because as tough as that was for you to go through, the just showing how vulnerable we can be, but there's a lesson to be learned through that. That just goes to show we all have these things in our life. You know what I mean? And the fact that we can learn from them, that we can take a step back and look at the situation, um, and learn from it is huge. And you know what? With that being said, situation that happens to you plus your reaction to it will always equal your outcome.
yeah.
So that reaction is absolutely key, guys. It's absolutely key. Okay, so always remember that. Life is truly what we make it, because we could have something horrible happen to us. You could stub your toe first thing in the morning, and if you react to it negatively, you could burn yourself on your kettle as you're making breakfast. You could jump in the car, get a speeding ticket on your way to work because now you're rushing. Get to work, your boss says something to you, you say something mean to him. Next thing you know, you're fired. You know
Mm,
what I mean? It can snowball out of control if you're not careful.
yeah.
But it also works in the reverse. If you react to it positively, you take a step back, you learn as much as you can every single day. Some amazing things can always work in your favor in this life. So always remember that, a situation plus your reaction to it will always be your outcome. Never forget that.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Ryan. Sincerely, is that a word?
Hey, we're making up new words. This is great.
Seriously and sincerely. That's what merged there.
Yeah.
Appreciate you and everything that you do. So thank you so much. And for the viewers that have made it this far in the summit, thank you so much. I hope you've gained so much valuable insights, empowering conversations, and educational resources. And I just want you to make huge breakthroughs in your journeys. As always, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay on your grind, because the world needs that special something that only you have. Keep creating, And this is the last time I'm going to say bye, because this is the last interview. Until our next one, I guess.
That's right.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.